Basically, you've probably heard that if you try to hold water in your hand and you squeeze, or sand, it goes through your fingers. But if you just simply cup your hand and hold it, then it stays, okay? So when you squeeze too hard and you try so hard, actually you can also injure yourself, then that's no good. Okay, you try too hard, relax, take it easy, and try again is an expression we hear so much in the Western world. We must make the mind one-pointed, as the Eastern adepts say, but nothing mental should be strained. We should never try to force results. We should stick to our task and finish out the race, but never knock ourselves out doing it. So it's kind of like put the work in and let it go. If you are out there making videos, and I just really feel like there's so many wonderful people out there making videos, so thank you. Whatever your job is, you put your effort in and you let it go, okay? All right. So this is known in Eck as the law of reversed effort. This law is a practical law of nature concerned only with man, for man is the only animal on earth that can make use of his imaginative powers. Now, that's interesting. Like, that could be true. This law is concerned with the imagination. It goes like this. The more you try to put your imaginative powers upon something in concentrated effort, the less you can do it. The harder one struggles to achieve some goal, the more difficulty he will have to overcome. Difficulty caused at least in part by the strain of his effort. You try too hard, relax, take it easy, try again. Are frequently heard expressions. It means to try not to force results. That was repeated for a reason. So, like, do the work, whatever that is, and let it go and see what happens. Take, for example, when one is trying to ride a bicycle through rocks on a road, trying to avoid hitting the large ones, he is so conscious of hitting the rocks, he'll probably do so. Or if a man tries to walk across a small plank from one building to another at the 10th floor, oh my God, no thanks. His mind would be on falling and not on the walking. But you see, this law is concerned with imagining and feeling. I have a great example. So we had a friend come over once, my son's friend, and he brought this Oculus thing, okay? And I actually put it on, and it is disturbing with a capital D. First of all, the guy was at the top of a building, and to walk out just seemed like it's against the preservation of life and self principle, right? Yeah. If you think about it, it really does affect you. But if you just walk, you're good, you know? Okay. You see, this law is concerned with imagining and feeling. What you image must have feeling. Therefore, the negative imaging is more likely to be effective than the positive imaging because the negative has feeling with it, like fear. So we want to avoid fear, false evidence appearing real. Of course, any situation, when altered by force, will tend to persist. This is why so many people fail to resolve their problems, no matter who might be helping them. Force will make the problem and situation more solid, regardless of whatever resolve there is to change them. Force. Generally, the greater an untruth is in these circumstances, the more solid it will become if force is used. Yeah. So what you push at runs away. If you lean back and just things come towards you, it's just pretty clear, like, right? Lean forward. Okay. You see? Yeah. So that's like a force of energy. You know, if someone stands too close to you when they're talking to you, you're like, okay, we're good. Tiny, teeny, weeny bit, thank you. Like, it's overwhelming. Why do you want someone in your face, right? You know, respectful distance, people, right? Right, okay. So, the problem with surrender is that the more one tries to give something up, like people who are alcoholics, let's say, trying so hard, maybe like one day at a time, I think is the slogan, the harder it is to do. It is the law of reverse of effort. Okay. That was interesting. By the way, this is by Harold Klemp, the current living Eck master of the day. And anything read here is like my reading it, but then my interpretation is mine, not necessarily his. Okay, so next, this is exciting. Spiritual growth, okay? The law of spiritual growth. Ooh. Truth has to be continually rediscovered, reformed, and transformed. The same truth has to be experienced in ever new forms. It's so true. Okay, so let's say you go through something like 20 years ago and then it happens again. Like you have a completely different perspective of it. Like you have an evolvedness about yourself. And I know that's not a word. Okay. Spiritual law governs when and how a seeker makes the leap from his immature beliefs to those of a higher nature that are very clear about an individual's rights and responsibilities as a spiritual being. So if you're following spiritual law, then you will have up-leveling moments in your consciousness or dimensionally, whatever you will, and your rights and responsibilities, they're clear, and they're always, you always have rights and responsibilities, but there are levels. And so if you're following the law, it helps. The law of growth in the lower worlds demands that everything must go slower and slower as it ages. Everything goes slower and slower as it ages. Okay. Finally, one settles into a rut, becomes less mobile until death is the final state. Only the spiritual exercises of Ek can renew consciousness and ensure soul an escape from rebirth and death. Well, I will say that I did 5 different religions in this lifetime so far. And I will say that even though I did 520 some odd quantum healing sessions on myself, I did not up level until I became an Ekist in the way that I finally have. And so for me, having explored so many paths to gain wisdom and to gain knowledge from each of them, I will say that the spiritual exercises are like none other, and they're really helpful. But you will, of course, get something out of any path that you do, okay? You learn something from everything. I honestly, having been in 5 different, it was Judaism, then spiritualism, New Agey, interesting things like crystals and all that. I learned about chakras. And then it was Taoism and emptying your mind and meditating. Then I became a Buddhist and read all the Dhammapada and all the rules of the Buddhists. And then I became a Christian and learned about the Christian type stuff. And then now it's Eckankar. So the bottom line of my point is that I took from every one of them, and the bottom line from each of them is love. Honestly, it's so funny. Okay, truth cannot be taken as one's own discovery, but it has to be continually rediscovered. It has to be reformed and transformed if its meaning, its living value, and spiritual nourishment are to be preserved. This is known as the law of spiritual growth, which results in the necessity to experience the same truth in ever new forms. What did I just say? And to cultivate and propagate not so much the results, but the methods through which soul obtains knowledge, experience, and reality. That basically is what I just said. When you learn from different paths, or you learn different things within your particular path, boom, then you grow and you expand. Okay, you can still expand in one path only, but it's really interesting to see it from different perspectives. I find it fascinating. Unity, the law of unity. The 7th law of the physical universe, thinking in the whole instead of the parts. Oh, yeah, broader perspective. Okay, this flows. The 7th law of the physical universe is the law of unity, thinking in the whole instead of in parts. So it's a more expansive visual. It is a simple way of knowing the solution to the problem the instant it presents itself. In a way, that is called liberation from the bondage of the world, which men have always cried to their God to give them. So it's like looking inside, you intrinsically will know the solution. So if you stop thinking, which is what the Buddhism helped me with, and meditating back then was just being so empty in my brain. Stop it, haters. I'm not stupid, okay? But being so empty in my brain, just teasing you guys. I know you're all loving, wonderful people here, right? If you lasted this long, you probably are. Is when you get the knowledge that comes in is when you empty. Trust me, I read 2 books a week at least. I can get caught up in the mental activity, but that's why it's so imperative to meditate daily. At least 20 minutes. I usually try to get 40 minutes in, and chanting the word hue raises my vibration to the soul plane level. So I go up and bring it back, you see? So it's just hue. And it's just a very ancient word for love. And it's wonderful. It really is. Okay. All right. This law simply means that one must be wholly within the Ek. You can also call that the sound current, the Enlight, or the Holy Spirit in the Christian philosophy, or energy in New Age, or, okay? It's all the same, guys. It's so funny. Okay, you don't have to believe that. And if I believe that, that's okay. All right. Must be wholly within the Ek in order to enjoy himself as the whole man and be able to select consciously what he wants in life and work at it. Okay, so you really have to be, basically, look at Eckhart Tolle. Be here now, peoples, right? Some of the ancient Greek philosophers used to think from the whole. Actually, there was an Ek master who was an ancient Greek philosopher. Okay. They would consider the overview. Western man usually thinks in terms of the parts. Most people think only in fragments, and because they do, they can't step back and take a look at the whole situation, so a problem defeats them before they've taken even one step. Ooh, the law of vibration. And then that's it for today. Law of vibration. The fourth law of the physical universe, which governs all the influences such as wavelengths, outflows, inflows, cause and effect, and the harmonics of the movement of sound. Sound is a big thing, guys. It's even better than being able to be clairvoyant. It's up there, the sounds of God. You can hear them everywhere, or you can even hear them sometimes in your own, like, clairaudiently, but to hear them in nature would be like to hear nature, right? Those are sounds, right? To be clairvoyant is also seeing the light of God, right? To see auras, or to see orbs floating around, or to see disembodied people walking by. Hello. That's just soul, you know, that's soul. You're seeing. Ghosts are not ghosts. Like, you're scared to go. They're just that the soul has left the body. So the soul is walking around just like you and I would, and they left their body. You can learn to do it consciously too, whilst you're awake, by soul traveling. It is actually very possible. The fourth law of the universe is the law of vibration or harmonics. This is the law that governs all the influences upon the soul and body in this world, okay, such as the wavelengths, outflows from the planets, stars, and heavenly bodies, music, sound, color, and general harmonics. Under this principle falls karma, cause and effect, and inflow and outflow. Close observance shows the manifestation of the law of harmonics in vibrations of every kind, including light, heat, chemistry, and other vibratory sciences. Okay, I'm going to leave that one there, but let's move on to the next two. From the 7 scales of music, this is very interesting. Each octave, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do, contains a good foundation for understanding the cosmic laws of vibrations. Each octave has an ascending octave in which frequency of vibrations increase. As one goes along the scale, it is found to descend after T and continue going around the scale again and again until it makes a circle or something similar to a circle, right? Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. And then it goes around. Do, ti, la, so, fa, mi, re, do. And basically, if you chant the hue, for me at least, this is, again, not the belief in this book, but I do absolutely 1,000 times find that when I'm chanting the hue, if I'm really into it, like really, really, really in that other place, I'll just, it kind of, because I'll go up half an octave. So I may be chanting hue, and then I'll be at hue, and then I'll be at hue. It just goes up and up and up and up. Now, that's not for everyone. Again, many Eckists chant hue, and they just stay on the same note. But actually, there is a wonderful wonderful hue chant of thousands of voices that you can listen to. It's the blue and yellow, like light blue and light yellow one. I listen to it every day. And there's thousands of people chanting hue. And if you move the, thing over and you see later in the video, like it's not the same note, really. People do shift, and I think there's something to it. It feels like it. And I know that when I do shift up with the vibration of the chant, I feel like more light is allowed to come in. I could be wrong. This is me, not nothing about that in here, about what I'm talking about at that point. Okay. Nothing in the physical world stays in the same place or remains what it was. Everything moves. Everything is going somewhere, is changing inevitably, either develops or goes down, weakens or degenerates. Ascent or descent is the inevitable cosmic condition of any action. And you get to a more ascended place when you're being very present, when your heart is open in love, when you're not, honestly, it's weird, but I think it's true that when you're more present, you're not really thinking about what's next or what you're going to do. You're just so present that everything unfolds in a very normal, easy way. It just kind of go with the flow and you just know what's next, right? And things just get done. You're not thinking so hard. You let the thinking go out the door. You just let it go. You just be present, fiercely, lovingly, powerfully present. And when you're present, it's like you shift into a different plane, because you're taking your higher soul you're pulling that energy into you. And then it's like your soul is just with you. It's always, you are soul. So it's not that you're never with your soul, but you're like, when you're present and you're loving, then it's like the energy shifts and it's almost like you chose a whole new timeline in that now moment. It's so exciting because you can gauge yourself. How are you feeling? Do you feel yucky right now? Or do you feel like bad in some way? Well, what are you thinking? Go to your thoughts. If you're thinking something that is not of the highest caliber or of love, or is negative or actively negative to yourself or anyone else, then back down. And then your outer world reflects it. But if you can raise the vibe up and up, then guess what happens? Your outer world reflects that too, and we shift in every second. So this is why you got to be constantly vigilant, constantly. And especially, you guys, if you want to start soul traveling, you definitely want to be super hyper vigilant before you go to sleep, because your soul leaves these worlds, and there's places on each plane of existence. And if you want to go to the nicer ones, when you soul travel out of your body, when you go to sleep, then it is really helpful, as I've said before, to open your heart in love and to see yourself achieving that state of love, to feel the love. It's not just about thinking, it's about really feeling. You just have to feel so much love. Think of someone you adore. Eck masters, I think of Jesus, of others that were and are still working, because they're never dead and neither are you. And I think of all these great, wonderful beings of light and love, different angels, etc. And it raises my consciousness to make me attuned to them on some level, even if I'm not with them, or let's say, right? To get to see these beings, to go and travel to these higher worlds is absolutely possible. I want you to know this. It really is. And you do it every night. And sometimes you just get splotches of dreams that come through that are like weird symbolic type dreams. But the more you're aware and the more your consciousness raises and the more you write your dreams down every single day, then you will start to have dreams that are absolute you living in a different reality and coming back from a different home in a different plane of existence. Because we all have, what did Jesus say? And I'm telling you, what did he say? He said, the kingdom of heaven lies within, and the kingdoms do. It's so funny because he was trying to wake people up again, don't be a hater, people, okay? But like, he was trying to wake people up to their own seat of divinity within, in the different heavens or dimensions or planes of existence that are within them. So you are a very powerful being of love and light. And if you have some cloudiness on you right now and some difficulties that you're dealing with, truly just trust me, chant the hue for 20 minutes a day and watch it all just go away. Okay? Sorry, I'm a little hyper. I had a coffee with a friend today. Oh, we all have incredibly different but similar experiences. And I know that Eckankars are less common right now on this planet than the majority of the religions at this time. But you guys, there have been so many religions. It's like, and you've lived many of them, so they all have seeds of wisdom is all I want to say here about that. Every single one has something valid, and it's usually coming from a place of love and a reminder to us that love is truly the bottom line. John Lennon was right. Love is all you need. It's truly that simple, but you can't have love if you don't love yourself. Okay? So loving yourself is where it starts, because if you love yourself, you're loving God, because you are a seed of that all that is source energy. So when you love yourself, you're loving God, and then you're able to spread the love and to just be more light filled and lighter, less dense, less heavy energy, lighter, enlightened, lighter, right? And things flow much easier. You can also get rid of some of that density by imagining, because your imagination is very key to get you to start to get to the other worlds lucidly, consciously. You can imagine yourself entering a body of water that is the ocean of love and mercy, okay? And when you enter that ocean, it just cleanses you. You can even pretend you're breathing under the water, and the water's going through your entire being and purifying you, and it's just taking away all that, You can also, if you don't like to submerge in the water, you can take all of your worries and cares and put them in a basket, and then put that basket in the water and watch it eventually just go into the water and start to dissolve all those things. Okay, that's another really helpful tool you can use. I've mentioned my island hopping technique that I created for myself in other videos. If you want to check it out, you can find it somewhere within my 500 plus videos. You can go swim from one island to the next and imagine that it's the dimensions that you're swimming higher towards all that is the true source of where you were birthed out of, to go and have all these incredible and horrible and wonderful experiences so that you could become really what you are, But if you look within, then you'll never fight with anyone again. You really won't. That's the truth. I don't ever anymore. I just don't. It's like when you love yourself, you don't have to defend yourself. You just love yourself. And what will happen is you'll attract people who also love themselves, and it will just be really nice and pleasant, not dramatic and crazy, right? And it's just a lighter vibe, and it changes on the outside. And you attract those types of people once you've healed on the inside. And again, I talk about all the time, it starts with you loving you. right? So love yourselves. Love you.